I apologize that I haven't made a video for 3 days, but I seem to have come down with some sort of bug. Indeed, that would explain the hysterical coughing fit I had on camera the other evening. But I seem to have passed through the worst of it now, though it's been incredibly boring because my nose has been streaming too much that I haven't felt comfortable making any videos. So I didn't, basically. But yes, indeed. What I want to talk about this morning is basically the Perestroika deception, whereby the KGB intelligence structure still exists exactly as it did during the Soviet era. Indeed, the KGB intelligence structure is still intact and coordinated by bloodline descendants of the former KGB elite. Indeed, the KGB is a supranational entity that exists parallel to, but outside of, Russian state organs, i.e. the FSB, the SVR, and Russian military intelligence, the GRU, and the various police structures. Indeed, the KGB is a supranational entity and exists in a similar fashion to the Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst, which is an extraterritorial entity, and the Nazi continuum. Indeed, intelligence structures do not just disappear. Indeed, the Nazi intelligence structure did not disappear, it stayed intact and re-emerged as the Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst, which exists outside of the German federal intelligence networks, even though the Bundesnachrichtendienst, the German federal intelligence agency, was created by the Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst network of the Gehlen organization. But the majority of the BND operatives do not know that the Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst exists, or have merely only heard rumors of it. Indeed, this is probably a similar situation with the Russian intelligence structure, indeed the FSB and the SVR, even though these are technically the successors, to the KGB. The operatives are not fully aware of the existence of this shadow entity, which is the KGB intelligence structure, which, as I've stated, is a supranational entity which exists parallel to but outside of Russian state organs. But indeed, the KGB seems to actually be controlling the Russian Federation, which means that Perestroika was a deception. Indeed, these KGB networks simply collapsed themselves. And during the 90s, it seemed that there were democratic urges among the Russian government, but the KGB merely collapsed itself and then reworked its way into control of the power structure of the Russian Federation. Indeed, it seems that the plans for this were actually completed in 1959. So the KGB were actually looking very far ahead to the eventual collapse of the Soviet Union as early as the 1950s. Indeed, this could have been being planned from the inception of the Soviet Union overall. Indeed, this was always part of a long-range strategy. It also seems that there is much crossover between the supranational KGB entity and the extraterritorial Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst. Indeed, these networks seem to consistently overlap and often share information and often operate along similar agendas. Indeed, the KGB has organized itself into interconnecting secret societies, somewhat similar to Masonic lodges. And these parallel Royal Arch Freemasonry in Britain in terms of the organization and structure, and the SS Black Orders that constitute the Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst. Indeed, the SS Black Orders are basically Masonic networks, but they are slightly different in organization and structure from the Royal Arch Freemasons in Britain, as are the KGB networks in Russia. They are slightly different again from the Royal Arch Freemasons and the German SS Black Orders. But the concept is quite similar. Indeed, the KGB intelligence structure is organized in secret societies, and the KGB, just as the Royal Arch Freemasons and the German SS Black Orders, contain many psychopaths who are into ritual slayings. Indeed, the Russian maniac phenomenon, which began during the Soviet period, not long after the Second World War, and has continued through the Russian Federation up until today. Indeed, it seems to have become more commonplace in the Russian Federation than it was in the Soviet Union. Indeed, the Russian maniac phenomenon was a creation of Project SHTURM, which was the Soviet equivalent of the US MK Ultra program and the British Mindgate program. Indeed, the Project SHTURM operations were overseen by networks of KGB psychiatrists who were initiates of the KGB secret societies and were influenced themselves by Nazi mind science, and indeed there were many Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst Nazi psychiatrists involved in Project SHTURM, though these would have been overseeing the Russian psychiatrists who were doing much of the actual experimentation on the Russian psychiatric patients and Russian Gulag inmates, and a combination of these two who were caught up in GRU experiments in Russian military cities, closed cities. And nose is streaming again. And the Project SHTURM operations were some of the most barbaric mind control operations known to mankind. Indeed, open brain surgery was commonplace, whereby the KGB psychiatrists would merely just drill a hole in the psychiatric patient's brain and then play around with the brain to see what would happen. And indeed, these techniques have also been used in East Asian communist countries. The projects in Russia were particularly terrible. And then suddenly all these maniacs, so-called, started popping up across the Soviet Union and later the Russian Federation. And the majority of these maniacs follow the same MO. Indeed, the majority of them seem to target teenage girls, which is interesting because that seems to be a common theme with mind control programmed paranoid schizophrenics. They seem to be drawn to teenage girls. But indeed, the Masons are also notorious in the West for using teenage girls in their rituals, which basically parallels the KGB secret societies, and it seems that the KGB secret societies were actually targeting teenage girls for their rituals, and then blaming it on the activities of the Russian maniacs. Indeed, they were committing these ritual murders, the KGB elite networks of psychopaths, and then blaming it on the program paranoid schizophrenic maniacs, which is basically the same agenda as occurred with the sudden proliferation of so-called serial killings in the United States in the 1960s and 70s. Indeed, these basically all followed similar structures of operations, and the serial killers were all very similar and had all spent time in mental hospitals, just as the majority of the Russian maniacs had spent time in mental hospitals before they began their serial killer sprees. So I've been explaining this in several previous videos, and that's basically the crux of the theory. And my basic point in this video is that the KGB still exists. The intelligence structures do not die, and the Russian intelligence structure is very compartmentalized, so the supranational KGB is basically in control of the coordination of information in the Russian Federation, but does not share the majority of that information with the Russian state organs, i.e. the FSB, SVR, and even the GRU, and that there is an enormous rivalry between these intelligence agencies, and many of the operatives in the state organs do not actually know the existence of this shadow operating entity, i.e. the KGB, which exists in a similar fashion to the Nazi Abwehr continuum Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst, which is a continuation of the Abwehr, SS, SD, and Gestapo intelligence arms. Indeed, the point I'm making is that intelligence agencies do not just suddenly disappear when regimes change. They continue, and they basically maintain their basic structure, but under shadow titles, and infiltrate the organizations created by the new governments. Indeed, the German Federal Intelligence Service is riddled with Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst operatives, just as the Russian Federation Federal Intelligence Services are infiltrated and penetrated and riddled with KGB, neo-Soviet, not even neo-Soviet, KGB Soviet operatives who are still operating for the glory of the Soviet Union, basically. And as I stated, these KGB intelligence networks are organized along structures of secret societies. Indeed, the KGB intelligence networks are basically organized into lodges, very similar to the Freemason networks, but operating outside of the Masonic body. Indeed, there seems to be a war of attrition going on between British Freemasonry and Soviet KGB secret societies. Indeed, this is basically how I'm beginning to believe this is now. Indeed, despite the British intelligence having penetration of the Russian state organ levels, they have not actually penetrated the true core of the KGB. Indeed, the true core of the KGB are themselves secret societies, just as the Freemason networks running British intelligence. And these secret societies are in an ongoing war with each other. And it seems that the German black orders of the SS networks of the Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst are playing off the British Freemason networks and the Russian secret society KGB networks. The Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst are playing off these networks against each other, which is basically how the Cold War began, with the Gehlen organization stirring things up between the NATO countries, well, what were to become the NATO countries, and the Soviet Union. So it's all kind of playing out in a certain coordinated way. And there does seem to be several controlling bodies who are controlling the agenda. So it's all a very interesting situation. Indeed, the Project SHTURM program is ongoing, and Russia has one of the biggest populations of psychiatric patients on Earth. In fact, I believe it has the biggest population per head of psychiatric patients on Earth. So these psychiatric facilities in Russia are continuing guinea pig farms for Project SHTURM mind control research. Indeed, mental patients in Russia are viewed by Russian society as dangerous, incurable, and useless, and are very much viewed with suspicion. Indeed, mental patients are not necessarily dangerous. Indeed, it's incitement by society or mind control programming that causes mental patients to be dangerous. Mental patients may be incurable, because I do not believe that there is a cure for the human condition, but that does not mean that they are completely useless to society. Indeed, this theory that mental patients are useless isn't necessarily the case. Indeed, mental patients have much intelligence potential. However, the intelligence agencies are run by eugenicists, and therefore view the mental patients with distaste basically, and do not respect the intelligence of the mental patient, and therefore attempt to persecute the mental patient, as is done so significantly in the Russian Federation, just as it was done in the Soviet Union. Indeed, the amount of antipsychotics, the sheer levels of antipsychotics that are inflicted on psychiatric patients in the Russian Federation, just as in the Soviet Union, is crazy. Like, the antipsychotics used are similar in formula to the original Thorazine that was conceived in the United States and the United Kingdom. And the antipsychotics are basically of that family of antipsychotics which completely destroy the will of the individual and create basically a vegetative state for the mental patient, because the Russian authorities, the Russian intelligence structure, are so terrified of the mental patient population, because the mental patient population can see through the lies and the agenda of the intelligence networks. Indeed, many Russian Federation mental patients are probably very much aware of the existence of this supranational KGB entity, this shadow entity that controls the Russian Federation and is a network of secret societies locked in a ongoing conflict with the British Freemason lodges. These Russian Federation mental patients are also aware of the Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst and the German Black Orders, who are basically trying to cause a dialectic between the Russian Federation and especially the United Kingdom at the moment. Indeed, mental patients are the most dangerous people to the cryptocracy, and the intelligence networks of the Russian Federation are aware of the fact that the thoughts and the words of the paranoid schizophrenic could ultimately reveal what kind of people the KGB shadow operators are. And just as in the United Kingdom, there is a cosmic war going on between schizophrenics and Freemasons. In the Russian Federation, there is a cosmic war going on between Russian mental patients and the KGB secret societies. So it's all interlinking. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there this morning.